Let 'em in, let 'em in. The devil don't want you to hear me. Baby, hear me out. Baby, hear me out. The devil don't want you to hear me. Baby, hear me out. Baby, hear me out. The devil don't want you to hear me. Don't want you to hear me. The devil don't want you to hear me. Don't want you to hear me.
Good morning and welcome to Sound Travels. I am your host, Pastor Dan Walker. I am privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church of Framingham, Mass. And welcome to Sound Travels. Well, okay. We already got our Facebook people starting to check in. Hi, Kamar. It's good to see you. I'm going to send you a little wave there. So, as we know, today is September. Well, this month has begun September. And this is a very political month. There are primaries going on all across the country. So I thought I would start this broadcast off with a simple question. Do we still need political parties? And what I mean by that is there anything that the Democrats have done personally for you that you can say, yes, because I'm a Democrat, this has happened in my life or in the country? And likewise, the question becomes, is there anything that the Republican Party has done for you that you can say, yes, because I'm a Republican, this has happened in my life? Or if you are a registered independent, is there anything that you can say that you've benefited from because you're a registered independent? So I hope today to have a discussion on a level concerning the different political parties and what they've done for us. I don't have any technical gigs coming up that I know of this month, so we probably won't do much of that, although I still have to have my fancy smancy PreSonus taken a look at by PreSonus, I think, because it's gone beyond my expertise. These new digital things are really strange. And hi Tricia. I'll send you out a wave. So let's start our discussion with the Democratic Party. I recall while growing up that my entire world was the Democratic Party in terms of my family did not even look at the Republican candidate. Whoever he was, for whatever reason, he was never even considered as a viable option. And as you all know, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up in the deep, dark part of Cleveland, Ohio, so not the suburbs or not any of the pretty areas, Cleveland itself being Cleveland. Hey, Daniel, my brother Daniel is watching. We're praying for you, Dan. We heard about your situation, so we're definitely praying for you in that situation. We're asking God to step in and provide the healing that is necessary so that you're able to go ahead and carry on your daily activities. It can be very difficult, I understand. So, as I said, while growing up, I was a Democrat. I was a Democrat because my father was a Democrat, because his father was a Democrat. Yes, you are my soul brother, Dan, as I am. I tell people that you are my brother from another mother, which is somewhat obvious when they see us both together. But I told you as my big brother, so I've always I keep a special place in my heart for you. So, because his father was a Democrat and Democrat, all I ever heard of Republicans is that they were bad. Now, no one ever bothered to tell me why they were bad, but Republicans were bad. So, okay, bad Republicans, good Democrats. So now I'm grown. As you can see, if you're looking at the picture, I did not paint any of this on. This is all natural. And it is not gone white, but it is definitely gray. So now that I've had a chance to look at the two parties, the Democrat and the Republican Party, I begin to question what good have they actually done for me. Now, when you're growing up, your concerns may be to community because your world is your neighborhood, and your neighborhood is where you play, and it's where your house is. So if you're venturing out, you may not be venturing out very far, but you're within a block or 3 blocks or of your area. And some people, what I've noticed, they only venture off of the block. But in Cleveland, because everything is so stretched out, our neighborhood was probably the surrounding 4 blocks. So the streets you lived on, and maybe a street or 2 in either direction. So maybe that's 5. And then, so all of your concerns being local, what in fact did any political party do, and what did any political representative do? What did your mayor do? I grew up in Cleveland during the time of the first quote-unquote black mayor, which was Carl B. Stokes. And I remember very vividly the problems that having a black mayor even running for office caused. I remember the division. I remember the violence. There was, in fact, violence. Pastor is watching. Pastor Bruce is watching. I remember the violence that centered around Carl B. Stokes running. My cousin was a big, he's a big person. He played on the football team. And he made a sign that said Stokes, and he wore it around his neck like a medallion, because that there was so much pride in the fact that a black American was running for office, and the whole black community got around him and supported him. And now at that time, Cleveland was very divided. I know that in the Collinwood area, which I spent 7 years of my life, Collinwood area was first and second generation. Hi, Janine Jackson. How are you? I'll give you a little wave here. The first and second generation Italian. And when minorities began to move into their community, they didn't like it. And so much so, before they left, because ultimately there was white flight, before they left, there was riots. I remember specifically, yes, I'm working on that, definitely. I'm just reading a comment from somebody. I remember specifically that there was the Collinwood High School riots, where it was essentially white against black. I recall one day when I was caught in the hallway, supposed to be in class, of course. This is how, God tells you you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to be in class, and I'm not in class, I'm in the hallway, and at one end of the hallway was myself. At the other end of the hallway was a series of white people, guys, about 6 or 7, and they yelled, "Get that N-word," in reference to me. I stopped, looked around, and said, "Where?" And as I began to look around, they all stopped and looked around, looking for the N-word, at which time I took off running, thinking to myself, these are some really dumb, and I used the H word, and if you're from Cleveland, you'll know what that H word is. I used the H word as I ran, and I got myself to safety and got into a class. I'm not even sure whose class it was, but their door was unlocked, so I ran in it, and I stayed there until somebody came to make sure I could get to my proper class safely. So I'm very used to. I have been, and that was a situation that I avoided. But I have been in the middle of a race riot, and I know that people can get seriously hurt. I'm not sure who I hit with what. I know that I was able to survive it because I was surrounded by a bunch of other people who were swinging and throwing chairs and the whole bit. And let me tell you, being in the middle of a race riot is not fun. So, we had an election yesterday, as you all know, where it was hotly contested on the Republican side, and there was a person named Jeff Deal who is hoping to run against Elizabeth Warren. Now, Jeff Deal is a Republican, and he is clearly a Donald Trump supporter. He is hoping to run against Elizabeth Warren, who is a Democrat, and she is clearly a Donald Trump detractor. I don't want to say hate because I don't know her heart, but I'll just say she really does not like Donald Trump. He did not name her. He did not name her the name that she is called by some of the local talk show hosts. If you don't know what it is, I'll actually consult my management to see if I can actually say some of these different things in terms of the names that are being used by people. Hi, Nicole. Nice to see that you're waving. So I won't use that just yet. But he did not call her that. It was given to her by any number of the talk show hosts in Boston concerning her questionable Indian heritage. Let's just say that. And I have heard from several Indian communities that they are considering making her a full-blooded Indian through a ceremony so that she could, in fact, be legitimately claimed to be an Indian. However, her claims to American Indian status have gone unproved, shall we say. So he's going to be running against her. He's a Republican. She's a Democrat. That is going to be a very hotly contested race, which is why my question started off with, is it time now for us to put aside the labels of Republican and Democrat and begin to vote who is actually going to be the best person to do the job? And that is my question for this morning. There were other contestants. We know that Charlie Baker, Governor Baker, is going to run. He handily defeated Lively, Mr. Lively, Pastor Lively, who was running as a Republican also. However, I don't think Governor Baker should sit very comfortably in his office having defeated another Republican, because he lost Pastor Lively only was able to garner 35% of the vote. That is statistically a third of the Republicans that voted said to Governor Baker, we don't like you. Well, now we know that Governor Baker is what they call a never Trumper, meaning that he is a Republican who does not like Donald Trump, flat out, period, end of story. So he is considered to be a never Trumper, and it's a badge he wears very proudly. So we know that this is not all the Republicans in the Republican Party like or even support Donald Trump, and Governor Baker is one of them. Pastor Lively, who was running against him, is a Donald Trump supporter, but I don't really think that his campaign was able to be effective. In other words, I don't think either he didn't have the money or he didn't have the brain power behind him. He clearly did not know how to run an effective campaign, and he still managed to garner 35% of the vote. Hi, Carrie is watching. Hi, Mr. Carrie. He still managed to garner 35% of the vote. So if I were Governor Baker, I wouldn't sit so comfortably in my office knowing that a whole third of my party doesn't like me. So there's always that political infighting, and now he has a serious wake-up call, because if somebody who runs such a lackluster and weak campaign, now don't get me wrong, everything I know about Pastor Lively is that he is an honorable, upright man. He is a pastor in the Worcester area, and he serves his congregation, and he has a deep passion for doing things right, and he's an honorable. There's no scandal attached to him. He just did not have, I think, the proper political campaign behind him. We have a call this morning. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Pastor Dan. This is Deacon Cooper.
Good morning, Deacon Cooper. How you do, sir?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I just wanted to call in to thank you and to just let your listeners know what a tremendous Bible study we have at your church, New Bethel in Framingham, on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock.
Why, thank you, sir.
Yeah, and it was a very, very, very stimulating as usual. And as I say, I wanted your listeners to know that that's an open Bible study, so if they have the opportunity to avail themselves of attending that, they would do well to do that.
Well, that is true. We do tend to get into the actual meat of the word, and it is not a mini preaching sermon. I know a lot of a lot of Bible studies I used to attend when I was growing up, and even when I was in the early stages of my ministry, were merely Wednesday night Bible study was merely a mini preaching for the congregation. And this is a Bible study where we actually open the word and actually get into what is said and what is being said. And I left. We have homework, fortunately. So
yes, we do.
Do you want to tell the audience what the homework is?
Well, why don't you do that, Pastor? Because actually, I'm driving right now.
Oh,
my hands free, but
okay.
I'm safe.
All right.
I'm safe.
Okay. So the homework is in Matthew chapter 16, verse 28. When Jesus says, and there are some of you, and there, verily I say unto you, that there are some here who will not see death until they see the Son of Man come in his glory. And so the homework is to meditate on that verse and to research that verse and to come back next week with what the Lord has said to you, what that verse actually means. There are several possibilities, but I think it's one of those verses that is overlooked. So we want people to dig into that and get to the meat of it. So,
yes, indeed.
So thank you very much, and your check is in the mail for the for the advertisement.
Well, I think that one of the interesting things about Bible study, Pastor, is that when you have homework is usually considered to be something tedious, but this is such an invigorating experience and the types of revelation that we get. And I would encourage even your listeners maybe to look at those scriptures.
Absolutely.
Matthew chapter 17, was it?
It's 16.
Chapter 16.
Right.
Okay, and it was 27. What were the verses again?
Matthew chapter 16, everybody goes from 16 right to chapter 17, verse 1, and they skip over verse 28. So it's Matthew chapter 16, verse 28. It's the last verse of the chapter, and that's the verse that requires meditation and study, because I think that's one of those verses that people just kind of read and go, okay, but they really don't understand what it means. So I think it's one of those verses that we really do need to kind of, spend some time. As they say, that's a bone that needs to be chewed on a bit.
There you go.
So that's kind of where we're at. And that is the level of our Bible study. We do tend to get into it at that level. I find
indeed.
That the only way to study God's Word is to seek His face, to meditate, to ask the Holy Spirit to help us understand, and then to read the Word for what the Word is, and try to and ask God that He show us exactly what He means. We don't have to, they said there's no scripture of the Bible that's of any private interpretation. So we understand that to be the case, but we do need to understand exactly what the Word is saying. So that's what our Bible study is about. It's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at 11 Beach Street in Framingham, Mass., New Bethel Baptist Church, and you're certainly welcome to come and be a part of it. I probably don't promote that. Probably don't promote myself as much as I should, as I've been told. But so, Deacon, thanks for calling in. We'll let you get on with what you're doing. I know.
Thank you so much, Pastors. Good talking to you. Hopefully we'll be able to get in with the group maybe one morning.
That would
the
be
Gospel Love Tone.
We'd love to have you. We'd definitely love to have you here. Come on down to the station and sing up a little bit.
Yes, indeed. We look forward to it. Thank you so much, Pastor, for your time.
Amen.
And good day to you and your audience.
Amen. Thank you for calling Deacon Cooper of the Gospel Love Tones and a participant in our Bible study on Tuesday night at New Bethel Baptist Church. Thank you and have a good day.
God bless you.
God bless. Okay, so people are really responding to this question on the internet. I'm trying to read. It says, as a child, my father taught us that black people used to be Republicans because of Lincoln, even though blacks were not freed because he cared about them. He freed to keep the country. I know that Abraham Lincoln freed the blacks to keep the country, to keep the Union solid. He himself personally said that if he could have slavery and a united Union or United States, that he would do that. But because that's not possible, then he must go to war with the South over slavery. And a lot of people don't understand. Oh, hi, Evangelist. Okay. Evangelist McCoy is watching. How you do, sir? If you ever get a chance to hear this brother minister, you certainly need to do that. He is definitely one who is filled with the Spirit, and he ministers the old island way. And my goodness, does the Spirit move through him? So we know that for whatever reason, yes, slaves were freed, but I don't think people understand the concept of slavery in its entirety. Slavery has always been a part of this world, and unfortunately will always be a part of this world. There is slavery in action even today in many parts of the world. In the Bible, slavery is talked about. Slavery is always going to be there. However, it is, and even if you were to be completely honest, you'd have to understand that we ourselves are supposed to be slaves to God. So people don't really like that particular verse either, because especially if you're a black American, it conjures up images of the bullwhip. It conjures up images of runaway slaves. We know that the Boston police excuse me, I was looking for my clock. I just found it. We know that the Boston police was founded to catch and return runaway slaves. So it is deeply ingrained in us that slavery is a bad thing. So when the Bible verse says that we're to be slaves to the Lord, it is a very difficult verse for people to understand. When you do not understand slavery in its entirety, remember every positive connotation has to have a negative connotation. Every negative connotation has to have a positive connotation. So, yes, there is definitely a negative aspect to slavery. But having said that, there is also a positive aspect to slavery. And as you become more, I don't want to say smarter, but as you begin to understand things more completely, you understand that there's a lot of positive and negative in anything that can be said. And right now we learn that to be the case because our news media seems to be saying only negative things about our current administration. just whatever, and every picture, I noticed this on the internet, every picture that we see of our current president is an unflattering picture. He is never shown calmly smiling or in any great light. He's shouting, his face is contorted, he's gesturing. There's never any positive picture. Now, he made the statement that Google, if you Google him, you don't find any good information about him. Because he's given to hyperbole, he's only half right, because I Googled him and I did come up with some good stories. Now, don't get me wrong, I had to Google a lot to find the good stories, but there are some good stories. And even then, they always, when you read the good stories about him, there's always a little dig in there somewhere. Perhaps over the course of this month, I'll have some examples of what I'm talking about. So, yes, there is clearly bias in the media, but there's always been bias in the media. There's always been what the side that's in wants to maintain complete and total control over the media, and the side that's out says that there's bias. Right now, I remember when Barack Obama was running for office, how he was pilloried in the media, in the conservative talk show area. Now, some would say that they have been proven right in some of their claims, but again, you have to be honest in your interpretation. When Jeremiah Wright said his great inflammatory statement about how God should treat America, that was all you heard was that one sentence. And that was hung around candidate Barack Obama's neck as this is a bad thing because here's a presidential candidate who is going and attending a church of an obvious racist. Well, that wasn't correct, because if you listen to the sermon, which I did, the whole sermon, then you understand that it is exactly what was said was exactly right in the context of sermonizing. Because if you had bothered to listen to the whole sermon, you would have heard that that statement was after he said that God should do what it does to America. It's only if America does not do what they're supposed to do in relationship to God, or in relationship to her people, in relationship to how America should be a just and honorable nation. And if America is not a just and honorable nation, then God would in fact, you see what I'm saying? So we have to, if you want to be completely honest, you have to listen to all sides of everything. When Jeff Deal was running, one of the ads said that Jeff Deal voted against the pay raise, but after if the pay raise went through anyway, Jeff Deal took the money. And that's what you heard. What you didn't hear was that, yes, Jeff Deal took the money, but he donated all of that raise to a charity. You never heard that. But then again, it didn't fit the narrative. So this is why I'm asking the question, is the Republican Party obsolete? Is the Democrat Party obsolete? And what party should Christ followers be a part of? What political party best characterizes what we would say as Christians our lifestyle is? You see, that becomes a very difficult question. Let's see if we have any more comments here on the old interweb here. And I don't see any more comments as of yet. Please keep your comments coming. So this is where we find ourselves now, in a highly politically charged environment where truth tends to be, I don't want to say lacking, I'll say very difficult to come by from any single source. You know, there was a time when the news media, when the media itself would follow the story and report the story for where it went. Never mind who it exposed, who it helped, who it hurt. The news media would get something happening. They would investigate it and they would report it in its entirety, and it would be up to the person reading the story to ascertain the validity of what was being said. So, what happened? Well, all of a sudden, somebody said, you know what, wait a minute. We may have more power than we're exercising. It may not be for us to just report the news or report the stories. Maybe we can begin to influence the world or influence the country. Maybe with the right reporting, we can begin to shape things and change things to a better, as we see it, society. So the media left the realm of report and has now gone into the realm of they almost as if they're a fourth branch of government. You have the judicial, you have the executive, you have the legislative, and now you have the news media. Now, if you think I'm on the media, decrying the media, well, sorry. Sorry, I am on the media, and I'm not decrying the media. I'm asking, when did the media become the fourth branch of government? When did the media decide that it knew what should be important for us and how we should respond to it? And it was no longer going to report, but it was now going to begin to shape. So there's that. Getting back to this whole concept of government and this whole concept of, let's see, I mentioned that Charlie Baker has alienated 35% of the Republican base. Is that the Republican base that is in fact for Donald Trump or not? I don't know. I know that within the Republican Party, there is a great Never Trump movement. And to be completely honest, Donald Trump himself probably created the Never Trumpers because of his verbose nature. Let me ask you something. When did it become a bad thing to be sure of yourself? When did it become a bad thing to have principles and stand on them? When did it become a bad thing to say, this is what I believe, this is who I am, and this is what I'm all about, and if you like it, fine. If you don't, you can lump it. When did that become a bad thing? And why do we seem to like the quiet, or why is it the quiet that seems to be getting praise when the quiet may not be effective? You know, part of the political process, unfortunately, is what I would call creative lying, meaning that you say exactly what you want to say in such a way that is not quite true, but it's not quite a lie. Just like when the ad ran for Jeff Deal that said he voted against the pay raise, but when the money came, when they got the pay raise, they took the money. That's exactly what happened. But like I said, he gave the money away, and you never heard about that. You never heard. And I wonder how many people know right now that our current president is not taking any money from this job. He is getting a salary, but every dime that Donald Trump gets as president, he gives away to charity. Every dime, every month. Did you know that? I would venture to say that a lot of folks did not know it. And then my question becomes, does that change your opinion of him? I could just hear the resounding no's all through the all through the world right now. But I'm just saying, you wouldn't know that if I didn't tell you, because you're not going to hear that from the external news media. It's not out there. Nothing that this president can ever do can be said to be good. And here's something I want you to think about, because I know you're thinking, oh, he's just a Trump supporter. Well, before you say that, maybe you should actually call me and talk to me and find out if I'm a Trump supporter or if I just don't like nonsense. I just want people to be intellectually honest about what they're saying. If Donald Trump is in fact a guilty person and he should be prosecuted and he should be impeached, bring the charges. Put the charges on the floor. Let the House of Representatives bring a bill of impeachment, laying out the specific charges. Let the Senate vote on it and impeach him. And if he's found to be guilty of these charges, then put him out. Here's your hat. What's your hurry? You know, if they're if they're criminal, take your behind straight to jail, like everybody else who has broken our laws. But so far, it's all been innuendo. It's all been, well, yes, he should be impeached. Well, for what crime? Well, the crime is obvious. Well, I got news for you. You can't arrest somebody for what is obvious if you don't have a crime. Now, I'm sorry to tell you that, that's the case. I wish, because let's face it, we want this man to be thrown out of office immediately. Get rid of him. He should resign. He should be impeached. He should just go away, basically, is what a lot of people are saying. And when you say why, well, it's obvious why. He's Donald Trump. And that's enough. That's enough to have him thrown out of office. Well, it wasn't enough for Barack Obama to be thrown out of office. And Barack Obama lied many times. Well, when did he lie? Well, if you like your health plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. The health plan is going to put $2,500 in everybody's pocket. It's going to save you that much money over the course of the year. These were flat out lies. So, and it's not that I don't like Barack Obama. I thought he brought a certain elegance to the office. I certainly think Michelle Obama was a perfect representation of what a first lady could be and should be. So it's not that I don't like him, but I will say that Barack Obama lied in office. Barack Obama used nefarious means within the law to get Obamacare through. He used tricks, he used maneuvers, he used everything that he had to get the Obamacare passed. So, is that a good person or a bad person? We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Yes, well, everybody already knew that Donald Trump was donated his paycheck. He said that in the beginning. And the media didn't let it be known that Donald Trump was donating his paycheck that he was getting from the White House.
Does that change your opinion of him?
Does that change my opinion?
Yes. Does that change your opinion?
No, that doesn't change my opinion. My opinion, is, we can see that everybody around him is going to jail. And Stevie Wonder can see that that everything points to him.
Then bring the charges. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying have the process as well as I, if not better than I.
Yeah, well, everybody, and that's the whole thing. I mean, everybody knows the process. I mean, I tell people, I'm not a, hooray, gung-ho, let's get Donald Trump out of the office. No, I mean, because everything is going to fall in line, and and you have to let everything fall in line. The thing about it is what do he have on everybody else, or why they're not pushing, for him to be impeached? Because everybody was so quick, to impeach was ready to impeach Bill Clinton for the sexual thing.
But
know.
Bill Clinton lied under oath. The sexual thing, yes, was the seed, but the actual crime that Bill Clinton was impeached for was lying under oath. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I do.
And the penalty for him
maybe
lying.
that's why Donald Trump don't want to, go before the Judiciary Committee, because he's afraid that he's going to be lying under oath. That's why he has his lawyers, telling him, okay, pretending like they want to go before Mueller, but they really don't, because they're afraid that he's going to lie under oath.
Let me ask you something. Do you remember when the potential questions came out that they wanted to ask him? Do you remember that? Some of those questions were like, what did you think about? What were your feelings concerning? Can you tell us what you were, why you did this and that? Now, if I'm a prosecutor and I'm asking a defendant or a potential defendant a question about something, I'm going to ask him very specifically, did you commit this crime? Was that you running out of the supermarket? Was that you who carjacked? I'm not going to ask the person, when you went shopping that day, did you think you would rob the store? Unless I'm convinced that I've got proof on this person. I personally think what they were trying to do was a fishing expedition. They wanted him to start talking and get him comfortable, and while he's talking and being comfortable, yes, say something that can be certainly used. And you know that this has happened numerous times. It's a trick. It's a technique.
Well, you know what? Well, my whole thing, there's no trick to technique if you have nothing to hide. If you're telling the truth.
Really?
The truth, the truth, will always set you free.
That's
all you have to do is tell the truth. If you don't lie, just tell the truth.
I understand what you're saying.
The thing that I like about Donald Trump was what Donald Trump did is Donald Trump tried to come after Barack and say Barack wasn't a U.S. citizen. He jammed that every single day while Barack was president, that Barack isn't a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so let me.
Here you are, but here you are defending another country, against your own country.
Hold up now.
That's not treason.
Hold up now. Let's be again intellectually honest, because initially the claim of Barack Obama being not an American citizen was not created by Donald Trump. Do you know who started that rumor, or do you know who brought that out first?
It was Hillary.
Yes. Hillary. Okay. All right, hold it now. Wait. Stay with me now. Stay with me. Hillary Clinton, who was running against Barack Obama, another Democrat, put that out in the news media, and then Donald Trump ran with it. But here's the thing that never got reported. Donald Trump did his own investigation, paid for it out of his own pocket, and had all of this investigated. And when it came back that there was nothing there, he dropped it. But
no, he did not. No, he did not. No, Donald Trump went to Donald Trump is still saying. Donald Trump is still talking about a man who's not even in the political game, and is still everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth that he's trying to correct is Obama.
Okay, so now
Obama's not even thinking about Trump, and Trump is just mad because everybody is still loving Obama.
All right, so here's the thing. Are you aware right now that our current, that black unemployment at this point in time is the lowest it's been in the last 15 years? Are you aware of that?
Says who?
Well, there you go. Now you've asked the right question. Right now, the numbers say it. The employment information given by the government says it. Now, are you going to say, well, of course they say it because it helps them?
No. It all depends on who say it. All depends on who's that.
Okay,
because for my surrounding over in Boston, it's still the same.
See, and
You
this
know,
is
from my surrounding of folks, my family members, around this, around this country, it's still the same.
all right. If you've been tuned in since the beginning of the broadcast, I started the broadcast out with the question: is the Republican Party, is the Democratic Party, is it now time for us to say that the parties don't matter? Should we not?
Listen, let me tell you exactly what I tell people. And I've been saying this for years. Different party, same hood.
Well, yeah. So the parties, in
Different
fact,
party,
same
same
hood. So now, because let me ask you something. I worked with Mayor Menino on numerous occasions. I did sound for him because everybody knows I'm a sound engineer. I have been at numerous house parties and backyard parties where Mayor Menino would just show up, walk through. He didn't want to make a speech. He just came by and greeted. This dude would show up at a supermarket opening. The doors open, he'd be there. Mayor Menino was one of the best mayors people would tell you that they've ever seen in Boston. And my question is, what in fact did it do for the black people living in Boston?
It didn't do nothing.
But he was a good man.
I never say, listen, if you ask me in the beginning, was he a good man? Yes. If you ask me towards a couple of years, towards the end, no, he was not.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why?
Listen, because only thing that it took for everybody to love Menino was for Menino to come around and just show his face. Only thing that it took is for Menino to build a park. I tell folks now, everything that is happening now with this gentrification is not from the Walsh administration. It's from the Menino administration.
So by the same token, is everything happening with the Trump administration is not from the Trump administration? It's merely a holdover by the plans and operations set in place by Barack Obama?
But see, the thing about it is, let me make this clear. Things that was under the Obama, the Bush administration, there was still some stuff that is lingering over. But Trump is causing his own waves because Trump is not listening to people who really have a insight about what's going on. He's trying to make up his own exceptions on how things should be run.
Okay, so
he's trying to run this country like it's a business.
Okay, well, hang on a second, because I'm not going to. In this, you and I can find agreement with. But let me explain something to you. Donald Trump got to where he is as a president of this country by completely thumbing his nose at the establishment, at the rules, at how the game is played. Donald Trump came in and said, this is how the game has been played. I'm not doing any of it. I'm going to do it my way. And that him doing it his way got him into where he is. Now he's being judged by the very system that he thumbed his nose at. And surprise, surprise, he's not measuring up. So you're absolutely right. He does his own thing. But you got to understand something. His own thing is working.
His own thing, that's the thing. His own thing isn't working because you know what? Because now you're dividing a country.
Country's been divided.
I'm talking about. You know what? Let me tell you. Let me tell you this. And and you're gonna be shocked. I tell people, I love Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump.
That doesn't shock me.
Because Donald Trump is showing everybody the true racism of America.
Donald Trump is what Donald Trump is doing is he is forcing everybody to come out of the shadows and be who they really are.
You be yourself. If you're a racist, you be that
racist. You be a racist. If you
be that racist.
Whoever you are.
You call the police, you're on black folks for walking down the street. You be that racist. Oh yeah. You don't have to, okay, you know what? You're a white supremacist. You be the best white supremacist you're going to be.
And understand something. I would love if all of these white supremacists would, you know what, we should have, in England, they have what they call Speaker's Square, where you can just go, where anybody can go down and just stand up on that podium and speak whatever's in their mind, and people will stand around and listen to you. I would love if all of these racists would come and stand on the corner in front of Dorchester District Court or up on Dudley or whatever, and just say whatever comes to your heart and just be as ignorant as possible, because I think we need to know who you are.
Who you are.
And I would make sure, I would stand there, my personal self, and make sure nobody touched you, because I want you to just be as ignorant as you possibly can, so we can know who you are, and people need to see and understand. Do you understand right now that there are people running businesses who hire and feed hundreds of black folk and would never even consider having a black person in their home?
I know a whole lot.
Okay?
I know a whole lot of businesses. I know, you know why they do it? It's called a cover-up.
Yeah. And what Donald Trump is saying is, listen, this is who I am. This is what I've done, and you don't have to like me if you don't like it. Who cares? I didn't need you. Yeah, he went bankrupt. Donald Trump played the financial system like a Stradivarius. Okay, he started off with a little bit of money and he amassed a ton of money. Don't ever think that person is stupid. As a matter of fact, one of the ways he gets by is other people underestimate him. Nobody thought that he would ever be president. As a matter of fact,
I knew that.
They laughed at him.
I knew that because because the one thing that the Democratic Party did wrong.
One thing?
Well, it's several things. But
yes, thank you.
One of the major things that they did wrong is when they screwed Bernie.
Well, once again, we have to go back to the cause, and we go back to the source. And one of the things that I would do on this program, everybody knows this by now, is I'm not going to hide the truth. If I know it, I'm going to say it. Bernie was torpedoed, once again, here's that word, Hillary. The same one.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I voted for Bernie. And people, let me tell you, in the general election, when it came down to Hillary, and Trump, I told everybody who I was voting for, and everybody laughed at me and said, "You're wasting your vote," and da-da-da.
Right, but here's the other thing.
Well, hold up. Let me tell you who I voted for.
I'm listening.
I voted for Michelle Obama. Everybody thought I was crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. See, the purpose of having a vote is to use it the way you feel. We're coming up.
Exactly.
I enjoyed caller. I enjoyed your call.
I enjoyed it too. It was great. I enjoyed it. I love these type of debates. I love it.
We're going to be doing political stuff the whole month of September, so feel free to call in next week a little earlier so you can have some more time. I am Pastor Dan Walker. I'm privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church in Framingham, where we have Bible study every Tuesday night. As you heard, you're certainly welcome to come be a part of that, where the conversation gets hot and heavy and lively, but always spiritual and always in the Spirit, always in the Word. So tune in next week. We'll be doing Sound Travels, and because it's the month of September, we're going to be dealing with political stuff over the course of this month as we personally can. Thank you for calling, caller, and hopefully we'll hear from you next week.
Thank you. You take care, man.
So, just before we go off the air, I just want to say thank you for all you folks who are listening, and I think the caller has some good points. And when you call in, I'm not going to I'm not going to try to sidetrack you. I'm not going to try to any of the games and the talk show host tricks that we all know. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to give you a chance to speak your mind. If you're coming up short on something, I'm definitely going to call you back to what the reality is. But we're going to do it in a respectful way. Tune in next week. Thank you.
To hell, as my spirit leaves my body, as my soul begins to yell, my tongue cleaves to the rooftop of my mouth. Ouch! I'm never getting out.